I just like to jam. Off the Leash, off and running debut edition of the new podcast. I'm Mark Schwab. That's Leah Doherty. Say hi.
Hello, hello.
Ashley Holder over here. How you doing?
What's up?
NFL season off and running, and so is the new podcast. We'll get you the deets on that in just a little bit, but I want to dive right into the game. The Browns absolutely land a haymaker on a team that many consider a Super Bowl contender.
Yep.
Yet, ladies, in your post-game report yesterday, you said they do not view it as a statement win. How come?
Yeah, Zadarius Smith was clear about that. He said, look, we are just focused game by game. We do not want to make any sort of statements with this win. This was a good win. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to celebrate it tonight. We watch the film, and then we flush it and move on from there.
Yeah, and I think he's right by that, because you have to look at this Bengals team is a completely different team than what they were last year and the year prior. So they know that with this week one win, it's good. But things can change very quickly, so you don't want to get ahead of yourselves, and you don't want to be that team that starts boating and everything like that, and then it's a completely different situation and come week 5.
Yeah, week 1, it's something to be excited about, but it does not define your season, right? I mean, look at what happened to the Bengals last year. They started off slow, and then look where they landed.
We were literally looking at their schedule, and we were like, oh, wow, they hit mid-season form, and they went on a win streak, and then went to the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah, they started 0-2 last year, go to the AFC Championship game last year, or the first year, the Super Bowl year. They started okay, but then they really got it in gear. I think it says a lot about the maturity of the Browns to not get overexcited about this, because it's real easy to say, oh, we expect to win, and then you actually go out and do it, and sometimes emotion takes over, and you treat it like it was a Super Bowl. And they're like, nah.
Yeah, but I think someone like Zadarius Smith, he's been in the league for 9 years. He knows not to get ahead of himself. So I feel like him talking and saying that is good to hear for the other young guys too as well, that you don't get ahead of yourself.
I think it's easy to not get too high or too low about this too, because they did what they expected to do. The defense went out there and did exactly what they expected themselves to do. This result was not a surprise to them. So them, it's, okay, we just checked something off the box. That's exactly what we intended to do. Now we prepare for Pittsburgh. No big deal.
Wild that we talked. How often in football or in sports, period, you talk about something and then, it comes out, it's kind of a little flat, whatever. We spent so much time talking about Jim Schwartz and the scheme and the freedom and all this stuff. And sure enough, here comes Myles Garrett at middle linebacker downhill. And whoa, what are we in for this year?
Yeah. It was funny because one of the reporters actually asked, I can't remember who they asked the question to, but they were talking about just how Myles Garrett creeps up on you and he's going left and right.
Like
and
a crossover dribble.
Yeah, he's like messing with you. And it's like some of those quarterbacks are looking like, what the heck is about to happen? And I thought that was funny just hearing them talk about that, because, I mean, this guy is taunting quarterbacks. Like, he wants you to know, I'm coming for you, and I'm not going to tell you when I'm coming.
He wants to get in your head too, and he does a good job of that.
Yeah.
Lined up in the middle. They've moved him over to the right side. This is stuff we did not really see under Woods and all the communication problems from a year ago. But a whole different look moving in right out of the gate in week 1. Of course, the Steelers, now they've seen some tape, and there's going to be some adjustment and that kind of thing. And we'll talk about the Steelers here coming up. The Browns got a chance to go 2-0 against a team that I don't think is that good, but we'll get there. Yeah. Deshaun Watson. I'm still a little concerned. Should I be?
Yeah. Oh, I think that's completely valid to be concerned. We didn't see a true product out on the field on Sunday because you have to factor in the rain, those conditions. That's not something they had prepared for. They had expected the rain to taper off a little bit on Sunday, and it didn't. It was kind of that heavy mist throughout the whole entire game. So they really had to go to the run game. They had to go to Watson's legs. And so we didn't really get, I feel like, a fair, you can't really judge Deshaun too much based on that. But Monday night, I don't know what the weather's looking like. Yeah. If it's clear skies and he still is underthrowing as many balls as he did, then I think it's fair to say, okay, we might have some problems here.
Yeah, but some of his throws were completely off. I don't know if I can put it on the mist, but it was
terrible.
Yeah, they were completely off. They were either going straight to the dirt or they were going just completely over them. But true, the weather does definitely play a part in that. But I do think positive with him is his legs look good, right? Yeah. He's obviously a quarterback that likes to run. So I think he should continue that. A couple of times I was like, ooh, like, why just jump or something, you know what I mean? But because he puts his body in, in harm's way. So it's kind of worried about him getting hurt, quicker. But, I think his legs look good. And I think as far as on the ground, he did pretty well. But yeah, like Leah said, with some of those throws. You got to figure out what that's going to look like come Pittsburgh.
His saving grace was Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow looked worse than
Way
Deshaun
worse.
Watson.
I mean, that was like his worst stats ever, right?
It was
threw
Burrow's
for under 100 yards.
I also don't think Burrow needed to I just don't think he was ready to play. I really don't.
Right.
I mean, he wasn't practicing really that much with the calf injury. I just don't know if he was ready to get out there, to be honest with you.
I agree with you. Joe Burrow, I think I heard the stat this morning. I think it was 3 of his 4 worst games ever have been in week 1. You line that up with the fact that he never seems to get a training camp, because he's either his appendix explodes or he's fixing a knee, or now it's the calf, or there's a COVID thing. And so he's never had a training camp. So part of that maybe was Burrow being bad. Yeah. Part of it was maybe the weather. I really hope it was the weather, because last year Watson stunk. This year in the preseason, he wasn't very good. More of the same in game 1. Some of those balls to Goodwin were straight up atrocious. Skipping some in the dirt you talked about. It's sooner or later, that guy's got to start making throws. And if it doesn't happen in week 2, I'm tired of the excuses. Let's go.
I think you look at Marquise, looked like he was a little frustrated too. He probably wouldn't tell you because he's such a positive guy, but he looked like he was kind of frustrated on the field as well.
Yeah, and Deshaun, I mean, he took accountability for that, but, you know, that's something that we're just going to have to see what happens against Pittsburgh. But to your point about laying his body out on the line and getting nervous, I mean, you said he got the wind knocked out of him in that one hit where he was kind of doubled over for a little bit after. I think he had a nosebleed. He said he got hit in the nose, too, and, you know, he was able to play and was fine. But, yeah, I mean, there were so many times in the press box, Ashley and I were like, ooh, you know, you're just like, okay, let's go ahead and slide. He was laying it out there.
Stefanski said that he was dealing with body cramps, like just body cramps all over. Yeah, that's what he said in his post-press conference after the game on Monday. And he said that that's what his entire body was dealing with. So I think you have to, I don't know if it's drink more water or stop or slide.
Maybe
I don't know.
just week 1 actually playing a full game,
yeah,
right?
It's been a while for him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a minute for Deshaun Watson. I couldn't tell you. It's been quite some time since I watched him play an entire game, entire season. It just feels like it's been forever. So
that's because it has been
forever.
There was really only one bit of bad news out of yesterday, or out of Sunday's game, and that was the Jack Conklin news. This was one of these. As soon as it's down, you're like, oh, geez, here we go. Obviously, any time you lose a starting player for the year, it is bad. But when you start losing starting players at key positions in week 1, it is extra bad, because you're already into your depth. They are at week 2. They're already into the depth. And now, what are the odds that they go the rest of the year without a starting lineman getting hurt? Pretty unlikely. Jones is a rookie, so you don't know what you're going to get. Now, by week 8 or 9, he's going to have a ton more reps, assuming he's not terrible. But you feel bad for Conklin, and right away, this is a problem they did not need.
Yeah, and not only is a rookie having to jump in, DeJuan Jones, he's having to jump in and face off against TJ Watt next week.
What a test.
Right.
Who's that guy?
I mean,
he's going to figure it out pretty soon.
Dude, that's,
And that's what Stefanski said. He said that, you know, there was some stuff he liked out of Sunday's game from him, but he's still a rookie at the end of the day. He said that this guy still has a lot to learn. But at this point, that's how the game goes. It's the next man up mentality. But he also touched on what Conklin means in just the weight room, you know, just being out with his guys, just being out on the field. He says that it's something that you can't measure of what he brings to the team, and that he's just really a team guy, and they're going to miss that presence and that leadership from him.
Yeah, this is what Stefanski had to say on Monday about the big loss that it is losing Conklin.
What we thought, you know, Jack does have a major injury there, so he's going to miss the season. That will require surgery. So, you know, like I talked about yesterday, very, very disappointed for Jack. Spent some time with him yesterday, spent some time with him today. He's a huge part of this team. And when he gets this surgery and when he's ready, he's going to be back in this building helping us, because he's just again, a big part of that offensive line room. You guys know how tight that room is, just for this team, what he provides. So disappointed for him, but you know, classic football. You never know when these things happen, and it's going to be a next man up type of thing.
Yeah, next man up.
No, I hate that phrase.
Next man up.
I absolutely hate that phrase. Mm-hmm. It's one of the worst phrases in football, because they say it all the time. No, next man up. So what do? You've lost this massive play. Yeah, next man up. Okay,
What do you want them to say, Mark?
Here's why you can't say next man up. If it's as easy as next man up, then you should have never given that guy over $10-20 million. You should have just got rid of him and played the next guy. You're sick, whatever. Yeah, give him a ton of money. Clearly, it is a problem if you lose this guy. And by the way, I'm not really.
Yeah, but you can't say we're in crisis mode over here. He said it's a bad loss. But
they've got James Hudson.
Speaking of
who
James,
DeJuan Jones beat out though,
yeah.
the second string.
Back to the Steelers a couple of years ago. Same concept. Hudson, I believe he was a rookie,
and he got cooked.
They basically put him on an island against Watt, and Watt destroyed him. Mayfield got sacked like 17,000 times in that game. They need to scheme that up to make sure that guy is protected against TJ Watt, because the Steelers are licking their chops. But yeah, that's right. Yeah. You'll hear me complain about next man up all year because I'm a complainer. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what Mark does.
One thing that was absolutely...
Whenever Mark can't make it to the podcast, we're just going to say, next man up.
There you go.
Next man up.
We don't care he's here. Next man up.
Mark, at the end of the day, it's a business. You got to have the next man up. That's your only option. What do you expect them to say? Yeah, we don't know what we're going to do. We lost them. We're scrambling to try to figure it out.
That actually would be a great soundbite.
Here's what I want them to do.
We have no idea what's happening next.
Here's what I want them to do. Walk that line. You can't make it sound like losing the guy who was, next man up.
Well, he acknowledged that it was a big loss.
And that's why his quote wasn't that bad. I'm just in general.
You're not picking on Stefanski, the statement in general.
Just the statement in general, I have a problem with. As far as the statement that some people had a problem with was Jamar Chase calling the Browns elves. Now, the run-up to this game, this made more news than I thought it should. The elf is a Cleveland Browns logo. So he called them the Elves. They brought it to Myles Garrett, and Garrett kind of made it sound like he was somewhat chapped. If you watched, he was smiling.
He was
laughing.
having fun with it.
He was absolutely having fun with it.
Yes.
I think people were making more out of this than was really there. And then after the game, Jamar Chase doubled down.
It's frustrating because I called they elves, and we just lost to some elves. So I'm on my part. I'm on that end. Like I said, man, we got missed opportunities. We didn't capitalize on that, and we lost.
All right, bulletin
but he did stand on it.
That's the thing.
Yeah. He stood on it.
I love the fact that he leaned into it.
Yeah,
that's what you have to do. You gotta own it. You gotta own it. If that's the hill you're gonna die on
that hill.
I mean, at least put up more than 39 yards, though. If he would at least put up about 100, maybe he could have talked a little bit.
Burrow's got to throw for 100
first.
True.
Yeah.
This is true.
I don't know. Jamar Chase will be fine. The Bengals offense will be fine. But
it was more of the Cleveland is Cleveland comment, if anything, that I think people kind of took some offense to than it was the Elves comment.
That goes back to the Steeler playoff game a few years ago. You two weren't here, but it was one of the Steelers. I can't remember if it was Juju. One of them said the Browns is the Browns. And then they gone out and just got obliterated by the Browns. And Mayfield coming off this field goes, the Browns is the Browns, baby! And then, of course, the T-shirt companies immediately had the Browns is the Browns T-shirt, and that's how it goes these days. But it kind of harkened back to that. And every time somebody says something like that about the Browns find a way to remind them, oh, by the way, we're the Browns.
Yeah.
And then they beat them.
But, I mean, the Browns fan base have heard that for a while. So that's been kind of, I'm surprised it, I guess, ruffled that many feathers. Because they've heard some of these things. Maybe not necessarily the Elves comment in the way it was said, but for instance, Browns is Browns.
And you could say that about, all Cleveland sports teams, right? The city of Cleveland. Yeah. Za'Darius was saying on Sunday after the game, he was like, when I said I wanted to come to Cleveland, I had some guys telling me really? You want to go to Cleveland? And he was like, okay. He was like, keep that same energy when we get the season going here. Keep that same energy about Cleveland.
First play, Za'Darius Smith shot out of a cannon.
Yep.
Yeah.
And whacks Burrow. 2 plays later, almost sacks Burrow, and that defense just off and running. What did you guys get? I'm during a game, and even during the week now, as we gear up for Pittsburgh, you're on Twitter, you're tweeting, you're interacting with the folks. There is no more group of paranoid people in the universe than Cleveland Browns fans. At some point on Sunday, it was 13-3, 16-3.
You riled the people up,
dude.
Mark.
All I said was
this
game is over because anyone with 2 eyes could see what was happening. The game was over. And people, all I'm getting is Jets game last year. I've seen too much. Dwayne Rudd's helmet. You know what this tells me? Even these fans, they either think the team is good and is just waiting for everyone to just fall apart, or they don't believe yet in the talent. I don't know which one it is.
I don't know if I think it's that. I think people know what they say, the curse of Cleveland, right? If there is some obscure way a team can go and find a way to lose, don't people think that's Cleveland?
That's the way
Isn't what this place is known for a little bit?
A little bit.
I feel like I've found more of the funnier tweets of them just like going crazy that they got
you
this
get?
one.
Go to Mark's
I gotta bring them up because I don't know. I thought they were pretty hilarious after you get one win. I mean, but hey, you got to celebrate what you can have.
Go to town. I'm talking about, I asked folks, are you confident going into Pittsburgh? I'm never confident.
Oh.
I'm never confident. You're just expecting to lose. I mean, come on. They're not bad.
Tempering expectations.
I
You're
know.
one game in.
It was basically, the Browns have been dominating all day, and all I hear about is the Jets game. It's like, come on.
I think you would be riled up if people on Twitter were already saying, pack your bags for the Super Bowl, go ahead and buy your plane tickets, let's book it, we're doing it. You would be over here saying, oh my gosh, Browns fans overreact. Now you're saying they're not excited enough. Mark, complainer, this is what I'm getting.
I just love that people expect to lose. It's like sometimes this is, okay, we got this. Moving ahead to Steelers in week 2. And let's get, Ash, did you have something funny you were getting to?
No, I've seen a couple ones. I think one of the funniest, not funniest, but it's ironic. They had this clip of Deshaun and his girlfriend. I guess they were out partying somewhere. They went somewhere, and people were getting on Deshaun like, wow, is the Bengals y'all Super Bowl? Like, this is one win. Like, you need to go home and rest.
The big video of all of them. I want to say they did that inside the stadium. I feel like we walked right by that.
Yeah, but people were
them.
just ripping him like, listen, dude, it's not that serious.
I think you have, the 24-hour rule?
Right.
Enjoy a win, celebrate the win, 24 hours, boom, watch the film, flush it. I think that's what Deshaun said he was going to do anyways.
Yeah.
Let the man live.
I think regardless whether Deshaun plays good or not, I think we've all seen that he's going to enjoy his life. So I don't think it really matters. You have some guys that really take it to heart and they go home and they sulk or they're looking at film or they're whatever. And there's some guys that they like to let loose and that's how they get over their bad performance. If it was, a win, losing is a different situation, but winning and not playing good, I mean, I feel like it's easier for them to get past that.
All right, so week 2, Monday Night Football. You two are going, right?
That's right.
All right, you two will be in Pittsburgh. I'll be back here, man, in the shop this way. The nation will be watching. I feel like there is no reason the Browns shouldn't go punch them in the mouth and drag them up and down the field.
After San Francisco had 199 yards at what was that? When I showed you that.
Game.
Yeah.
It's like 199 to 1.
I'm sorry. I'm assuming that they should do pretty well. So I would be shocked if they don't walk out of Pittsburgh with a win. I feel like I would really be shocked.
Jack Conklin make you nervous at all? I mean, do you think that changes how you think this game's going to go?
I think they will be smart enough to have learned from 2 years ago, because it's the same offensive staff, that you don't just leave your rookie out there on an. I don't know why they did it 2 years ago, but they, no, I think they will figure that out. And Watt can dominate a game. I get all that. Here's my thing with the Steelers. This whole Kenny Pickett breakout. There was a drumbeat about this all preseason. I don't buy it. For me, that is a poverty offense with a coordinator that should have been fired last year, a fake breakout quarterback. We're always talking about the next great young quarterback, whether it was Burrow or Herbert or Lamar or Jamal Hurts. You know that those quarterbacks don't do? Throw 10 touchdown passes in their rookie year. They go out and light up the world. This dude was barely average. He was barely a first-round pick. He's got tiny hands. There was one team that wanted him. Even they didn't want to trade up to get him. He was mediocre at best his rookie year. He stunk yesterday. His position players and skill players, they're okay. I think they're the most overrated group in the NFL. I'm not saying they're the worst. I'm saying they're the most overrated. We're commanded to believe they're good because of the laundry they wear. If the people on that team were wearing Cleveland Browns uniforms and the people in the Browns uniforms were wearing Steelers uniforms, we talked about it on Friday Football Frenzy. Everyone would be talking about the Browns or the Steelers as Super Bowl contenders, and if the Browns had that roster, no respect.
Yeah.
No respect.
I mean, there wasn't. We had talked about there wasn't any national media attention for the Browns at all. I think people are turning their head a little bit. And I do have something from Stefanski I wanted to play about his thoughts on Dwan Jones getting the start next week in Pittsburgh.
Honestly, any young player, when you get thrown into the mix early, There's going to be some time to catch up. And I thought he had some good moments, some things that we will work real hard to clean up.
We know one thing about DeJuan Johnson. He's huge. Nobody's going to push Jones around.
I mean, this is the NFL. Like, these things happen. I know you don't want to hear the next man up, but they happen.
They do. I understand. I acknowledge they happen.
We need to make a button for that.
They just always act like when a guy gets hurt, they make it sound like it's no big deal.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it does happen, so you have to be prepared for it, right? Like, this is the point you get to the league. You want to be able to take care of your family. You want to be able to play the game, and this is his time to shine, and we'll see how it goes. But in his situation, I mean, you want to be the guy that's next up, right? And what better way to get your name out there and put your name really in the hat and keep yourself to getting more of 95% of the snaps or whatever it might be, and take Hudson completely out than to do a good job against TJ. And I don't think they expect him to do phenomenal. Maybe they just expect him to somewhat hold his own, and they probably know what his own is, more than what we might know.
Well, and it seems like he's a quick learner too. I mean, you look about how much he has grown just from training camp alone, coming from Ohio State, playing in a totally different offensive system, and then coming in and what he's been able to adjust and do and so far in training camp. So people have, I mean, the guys have continuously sang his praises and talked about how quick of a learner he is and the strides that he's made. Now, does that mean you're ready to face TJ Watt?
I'm not really sure.
I know that's a big jump.
But he is ready. Well, let me say this, actually. Going to the side of the ball. Going back to Kenny Pickett. Did you see the drama with George Pickens and his quarterback?
No.
So apparently he liked it wasn't a tweet. It was on Instagram. And someone wrote under, I think it might have been the Steelers pictures. I'm not sure. But somebody put nobody to get that man the ball, though. And he liked it. But he claims he didn't like it. But it says liked by the author.
Sometimes if you're scrolling, you can accidentally
I think that's hilarious. I would just say that I said it. Like, I said it, man. That man's mad. Like,
you want the elves treatment. They double down on it.
Yeah, I would double down on it, but someone probably in that camp was like, dude, please deny this. Just deny that you liked it. And the fact that we as reporters are just looking we're going through your likes. We're going to find who liked this comment.
Or not even reporters, just crazy internet trolls will find it. They will find anything.
Pickens is overconfident. He seems to think he's Jamar Chase. He thinks he's Justin Jefferson. He's not bad.
I think Steeler fans think he can be.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I just don't. I think he's good.
Well, we will probably not be able to tell that if Kenny Pickett continues to play the way that he is. We really won't be able to tell what Pickens can be.
I've been told Kenny Pickett is an ascending quarterback, and we all need to put him on our radar.
I always think that's interesting that people say that they think this is the end all be all for the Steelers, because they so badly want another Ben Roethlisberger, and they saw this guy and they said, this is our baby Ben.
You're just manifesting him into that. That's what you're hoping. I think the fan base wants it so bad that they're gonna.
They would honestly take Big Ben back.
You know what my
at this point?
First red flag about Kenny Pickett was?
UCLA.
No.
Okay.
In the draft. Now remember, the quarterback is the most coveted position, not only in football, but probably in all of sports. So much so that teams will trade multiple firsts just to move up 5 picks to get a guy. And here's a guy that falls and falls and falls to the 20th pick in the first round. And not only did nobody else trade up to get him, nobody said, Pittsburgh's going to take that guy. We need to move up and get him. Mm-hmm. Even the Steelers didn't say, this guy's falling. We got to go get him. Like the year before, Chicago sees Justin Fields falling. Okay, we got to go get them. They move up. They make the aggressive play. Now, whether or not we're right, we don't know. But they clearly valued him. That said, we have to go get our... Even the Steelers were like, if he doesn't make it, we'll take somebody else. And I'm like, even the team that took him doesn't think we have to go get this guy. And then we get the last year that's kind of, I don't buy it.
They must have had some secret conversations after his college games that we just don't know about.
I'm sure they did.
He was like, I want to stay here and take this city to the promised land again.
I like this stadium.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I should
bring
mention,
the ketchup bottle back.
They What is it, Acrisure?
I don't even know what it is now. I was just telling Leah, like, I miss Heinz
They
Field.
changed the name.
I was like, when they would score, they'd fill up the ketchup bottle or, whatever. And I'm like, man, we didn't even get to hear it no more.
I know last year when they were there, we were there late. The Browns were.
How'd you tag out?
Yeah.
What's the name?
Not Heinz Field is how I did. Not kidding.
Leah, we're just going to say in Pittsburgh, clearly.
In Pittsburgh for 19 News. I'm Leah Doherty.
I remember I did a segment where I kind of covered the flavor of the town, and there were like 2-3 things I got to, and one of them was the stadium, because by then it was late in the year when the Browns were there. And I talked to some of the folks around the stadium, and they were telling us, before people would show up in shirts that said it's still Heinz or whatever, that it started to slow down, and people were at least getting somewhat used to it. But nobody liked the name.
Yeah,
and
it's awful.
I did. I think I signed off at not Heinz Stadium.
We'll keep that in mind unless
Heinz
we can figure out how to pronounce it come Monday.
Yeah.
No, what is an Acrisure? Nobody knows.
Did you go to Permane Brothers in Pittsburgh?
Not last time. I feel like I've been there once. It's basically a huge sandwich with French fries.
Yeah, and what is, I can't think about what the meat is. It's like corned beef or corn hash or something.
You know what
is this?
But
is this like what they're known
it's
for?
It's a staple there, Permane Brothers.
All
but
right,
I don't like the place at all.
Here's what that is.
I've never heard of that.
You just got here, right? You came from, you were in Buffalo last, you were in Madison last. There's a place here called Panini's. Have you been to Panini's yet?
No.
All right,
I've heard of it, though.
All right, so Panini's, it's the same thing. They take huge bread, they jam lunch meat, some vegetables, whatever you want, egg.
So it's a panini.
Massive
They make a panini.
No.
Oh.
It's not like a. Then they take the French fries and stick it on the sandwich, and if the sandwich is like this big, and
it's like impossible
awesome.
to eat it. Yeah, but did the Food Network come to that place, Panini? Like the Food Network?
I have no idea.
Chapter or whatever that is.
I don't know.
I guess they came to Permane Brothers and it like made the sandwich just go sky high.
No, okay.
I don't know. I wasn't really. I'm not like into corn hash or corned beef.
Corned beef's fantastic.
Really? I've never.
That guy right there?
I can't.
Yeah,
I looked up a photo of it.
That might as well be panini.
How do you even take a bite into that? Well, this is panini.
I think they cut it or
it is.
something.
There you go. You smash it down.
There's no way you can take a bite out.
Oh yeah, come on, you can
Just
smash
seems
that,
impractical.
and it's fantastic.
Good to know.
Listen, I know if they put that on the menu at Sonic, you'll be there in 25 minutes smashing down your first one.
I love Sonic.
Shout out to Sonic if you want to sponsor this podcast.
The pretzels with cheese. Ashley and I had pretzels at the Browns game, and they were not the same.
Shout out to Nick who held it down with me.
They were not the same. Yeah, Ashley waited pretty much the whole third quarter to get pretzels.
Nick Wilson,
shout out to him because we held it out for a while waiting for those pretzels, and then I had to text Leah and I was like, all hands on deck, come get a pretzel.
She literally texted me in all caps, pretzels are here, and I flew out of my seat in the press box.
And you know how small the press box where the seats are, so she had to wiggle her way out the seat.
Gotta go.
But we give it like a solid. I think it was like a C+. I think they could have been a little softer. It was missing a little bit of salt.
Sonic,
cheese was pretty good, but you know.
I can tell you the press box food, not that the listeners care, but the press box view in food in Pittsburgh is not bad. When you get there, Cam Hayward already out with a groin. Deontay Johnson, hamstring.
We're not sure.
If we saw him. So the Steelers, they got their own issues they're dealing with on the injury front. We talked about Conklin, and we'll see how it goes. I think it would be so amazing if the Browns went in there, put a beating on that team. People wake up Tuesday morning, Sports Center, all the talking heads. It is the Cleveland Browns have arrived. They're 2-0. They got to go win the game. They got to get through that. But that's the message on Tuesday morning with the national talking heads. And this is a chance for the Browns. I don't care if they don't think the last one was a statement. You come out back-to-back thumpings of AFC North. That's a statement.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to close the show with top dogs. This is I like this. We talk about it. It's basically who's coming in with a head of steam. We know who's really good, but who do you think's going to shine against the Squealers?
Squealers. I really loved Zadarius Smith. I love the energy that he brings in. I love this new look of the defense that we're seeing, kind of the back and forth with him and Myles Garrett. I think they feed off each other, disrupting people, getting in the face. I covered him a little bit in Green Bay, and I really like him. He's also he's a locker room guy. He's going to bring the energy. He's going to bring the positivity. I really like what he's bringing to this defense so far. Yeah,
for me, I'm going with the Chubbster. I'm going with Nick Chubb. The fact that the 49ers let Christian McCaffrey alone put 152 yards on the ground with them, I feel like Nick Chubb should be able to kill that, to be honest with you. I mean, 106 yards with a against the Bengals. He should be able to go crazy on that. Fantasy points for him. If you got him on your fantasy, you're looking good. Yeah, I think he should be able to have a blowout game against the Pittsburgh Steelers or Squealers. Excuse me.
You call them whatever you want. Whatever you want. The guy I'm looking for an eruption. We never got to see it yesterday because Watson, as we talked about, just wasn't good. And then clearly the game just shifted into run the ball and get out of here. I want to see the David Njoku explosion. I feel like it's coming. The drumbeat was there all preseason. You'd mentioned David Njoku. Kevin Stefanski's face would literally light up. He couldn't wait to talk about Njoku instead of just giving you a token response like he does with other guys. We didn't get to see Watson because the weather and all the jazz, or he's just bad, but I think it's coming. Kittle didn't have a great day against the Steelers. Fine, he went into that a little banged up, and clearly the Niners didn't need to pass a lot either, but I want to see if Njoku has his big day. So this has... Oh, let's go ahead.
Never mind.
Fine. Anything else?
Nope.
Great.
That's it. That's all we got.
So that's the drill. Off the leash. We're going to drop this every Tuesday. Week 2 going to be a little different because they play Monday night. We're going to get together. It should drop some point Tuesday instead of Tuesday morning. But this is the show. It's back every week, and it should live on in the offseason as well when pertinent. It's not going to be every week, but, free agency, big trade, draft, of course.
If it's not, next man up.
Yeah, Mark,
exactly
if you're
right.
not here, if you don't want to do it every week,
you know
we'll
what?
find someone
Matter of
to do
fact,
it.
we're going to go to the wedding. We're going to do it there.
Leah's getting married on the draft.
I get married NFL draft weekend. I selected that date before I knew I was coming to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Are we invited?
It is my parents' anniversary. You guys are more than welcome to come down to Austin.
We'll just go there.
We can do a remote podcast in Austin. There are several podcast studios in Austin.
Yeah,
Austin's
perfect.
bumping, so I think we should be able to make it work.
Oh, they're coming for Mark.
Yeah.
Dude, we got police sirens going by.
They're coming for Mark.
We got a news crew headed out there. Goodness. Off the leash, off and running. Week 1 in the books. Ladies, thanks for coming by.
Absolutely.
See ya.